Hi, I'm Jerry Palladino, still drowning in issues and wondering, who should I vote for? In our last session, in which I confessed I was drowning in issues, we looked at some of the hot issues of our day and my wonderings as to whether they would pass into the next phase of human history, when Jesus returns and sets up his kingdom, which the Hebrew Tanakh, the Christian New Testament, and the Quran all say is going to happen. I suggested that in light of that, maybe we need to consider today which of these things are sustainable, part of his overall plan and possibly even eternal plan. How would he look at each of these things? I don't presume to know the final on any of these controversial issues. I have my thoughts and feelings, as I'm sure you do, and how I interpret the Bible's take on things, as well as what I perceive we have learned so far throughout history. At best, I see some of them as temporary solutions to difficult problems we are facing today. At worst, I see some of them as working against the natural course of things that might better be avoided and rejected in our current age, as well as the next. How did Jesus react to the hot issues of his day when he was among us, in a time of tumultuous political instability and social injustice, in a day when abortions and gay activities were common, and there were plenty of other contemporary hot issues affecting what was then modern times? Did he get involved in the debates? Did he even address the issues? Not so much, it seems. I guess, if you'll forgive the pun, he had bigger fish to fry. He kept the big picture of his Father's plan in first place, that in the long run was going to fix everything that's broken in our world. He preached the arrival of the kingdom, and to show what it was going to be like, he went about healing the sick, raising the dead, and just generally manifesting God's love, mercy, and power wherever he went. And he mostly seemed to deal with things on a one-to-one basis. We know he addressed crowds, but his main focus seemed to have been on individuals. First his followers, who he was training, and then those he met as he traveled and went about his day. He touched individual lives, and many of those individuals went on to change their part of the world. And more important, he focused on the source of mankind's problems, the human heart, and so offered long-term solutions for humanity's problems. Do we need to do more like he did? Think big picture, long term? Are we opting for short-term solutions that really won't pan out in the long run? The book of Proverbs warns us twice. There's a way that seems right to a man, but the end is destruction. In other words, in the long term, we could be bringing on our own destruction. Are we possibly making our situation worse by some of our current choices? Maybe we need to step back a bit from the hot debates and seriously consider the implications of accepting any of these things on the long term. Let's take just one controversial issue, abortion, and ask ourselves, how will that policy work out in the long run? Is it sustainable? There are countries now where the birth rate has fallen below the death rate. More people are dying than are being born. It's called negative population growth. Stretch that out over the long term, and that means as a policy, if it continues being accepted worldwide, that in a certain number of years, humanity will just die out, unless that policy is reversed. That to me means it is not a sustainable policy. And I don't know about you, but I'm personally not looking forward to a possible science fiction future where babies are born in jars, or artificial intelligence is replacing us on the planet we were given to inhabit and care for. Another question. Morally, and we know that both Jesus and God are moral beings above all, could they possibly be okay with our destroying 115,000 embryos and potential human beings every day, now, just so we can have the freedom to make love to whoever we want, whenever we will? Yes, I've heard the rape and incest stories too, and all the sad cases that are brought up, but that's a very small percentage of why we accept abortion. It's really freedom, isn't it? Freedom to do what we want with our bodies and with whoever we want, with no strings attached. So a question, does our individual freedom and happiness take priority over what is good for our race and for the world? In much of our world, freedom is the number one virtue. I get it. I'm American, from the land of the free. But imagine with me, if you will, a world where freedom was indeed very important, ranking very high, nearly first place. But a world where it took second place to love and consideration. What if, along with our freedom to create whatever we dreamed of creating as individuals, we were also to consider above even that what's good for everyone and implement business practices and political policies that were good for humans and our race as a whole? Wouldn't that begin to repair many of our present problems that we're experiencing and start righting the wrongs we're confronted with? Well, love will reign one day. So how about upping its priority today? That's my vote, whenever and wherever possible.
I dreamed when I was young of a better world for all. I tried to do my part and live as if to say that love will reign one day.